Hi, welcome to Taji's World of Books, and this is my second tag video. Hi everyone, welcome back. Thank you for joining me. So I'm not going to say it's by popular demand, but the last tag video that I did, you guys seemed to really like that, liked getting to know me. And so I thought that I would do another tag video, other questions that I found, and so I thought it would be fun to answer these. So let's get started. Question number 1. How many books are too many in a series? Well, I really like to immerse myself in a world, so 3 is like the sweet spot. It's like the perfect number of books. But I would say anything more than 5, because then I start to get bored and I really want to switch over to something else. But I do like to read everything all together at one time. I don't like it when an author puts out a book one time a year, because by the time the second book comes out, I don't even remember what happened in the first. And then I have to go back and reread the first one so that I can really be invested in the characters again. And I got too much on my TBR to do that. So I would say 3 is a sweet spot, 5 is too many. How do you feel about cliffhangers? Well, that's how I feel about cliffhangers. Hardcover or paperback? Definitely hardcover. However, I prefer a hardcover book to read, but when you have as many books as I do, stacking them on your shelves, it's so much easier for paperbacks, but like trader paperbacks, like not mass market. I can't stand mass market paperbacks. So for storage purposes, paperbacks, but for aesthetics and look and reading, I prefer a hardcover. Favorite book. For those of you who have tuned in and been listening to me, I will sing praises of Anna Todd's After. I really loved the After series. It's just, Tessa and Hardin have my heart. I absolutely love them, and that is my absolute favorite book, I would say hands down. Least favorite book. I don't know. If I'm not interested, I just don't read it, and most of the things that I read, I would say I'm pretty interested in. I don't have a least favorite book. If I don't like it, I don't finish it. And so I tend to veer away from that one. So that one was a tricky one for me to answer. Maybe I'll think of something and put it in the chat below, but I can't think of anything. Love triangles, yes or no? Sure, why not? The angstier, the better. I really prefer, because you never know which direction the author is going to take it. Is it going to go with this dude, or is it going to go with the other dude? And so you're kind of like sitting on the edge of your seat while you're trying to see what's going to happen. So for sure, I love triangle. Why not? However, well, let me not say however. What do you guys think about, I've been hearing lots of conversation about reverse harem. And so my understanding is that a reverse harem is where if it's a menage, then it's 3. But if it's more than that, then it's a reverse harem. So what do you guys think about that? That's not just a new thing. It's a trope, if you will, that's here to stay. And the first reverse harem that I learned about is Den of Vipers. That's a thing, and it's here to stay. What do you guys think about it? Let me know in the chat below. The most recent book you just couldn't finish. And I would say it was Justin Cronin, I think is the author, and it was The Passage. I just could not get into that book. Number one, I tried to read it back in March when the pandemic first started, and it was about like the end of the world and a pandemic. So I was like, okay, what am I thinking trying to read about zombies in the middle of a pandemic? Like, hello? But I just couldn't get into it. And so that was like the first book that I DNF'd. If I buy a book, I will slog through it and finish it whether I like it or not. So I just can't bring myself to not finish a book. But that book, I was just like, yeah, no, not so much. I wasn't feeling it at all. But more recently, if you look at my Neilani Singh, my weekly reading wrap up, Ocean's Light, I finished it, but I was like, what was the point of that? I felt like it was a complete waste of time, and it wasn't invested in the characters. It sort of came out of nowhere for me. It didn't jive with the rest of the story, which is interesting because the very next book, which is Wolf's Rain, absolutely love. So I was like, well, maybe if there's too many books in the series and I'm just not feeling it anymore. That's not the case. It was that Ocean's Light, not feeling it at all. Okay, number 8, a book you're currently reading. Well, I'm finishing up the Side Changeling series. I'm in the last book right now, and it's Alpha Knight. And I really enjoyed the Side Changeling series, but there's so many books in the series, I'm kind of happy to be done with it, and I'm ready to move on to my next of things that I have on my TBR, and I think it's going to be The Duke and I with the Bridgerton series, because I want to watch the show, but I don't want to watch the show until I read all the books. So I think that's going to be the next thing. The last book you recommended to somebody, Sarah J. Maas, A Court of Thorn and Roses. And I'm so glad that I recommended it to her because she absolutely loves it, and how can you not? And I think I'm going to do a reread of all of those books so that I can prepare for Nesta's book that's coming out in February. Number 10, the oldest book you've read. It was Picture of Dorian Gray, and it was published in 1890. And I wonder if you guys feel the same as I do. I do a lot of reading, and I would like to read more of the classics, but the classics for me are boring. They're not as fast-paced as what we currently read, and I have a hard time getting into them, but I feel like I should read them because I read so much, and people know that I read a lot in my day-to-day life, so they'll ask me questions like, have you read whatever? And it's a classic novel, and I'm like, nope, haven't read that. But I have a hard time getting into the classics because it just doesn't deliver for me in the way that the current books that are published deliver, and so I would much rather spend my time. The newest book that you read. So the newest book that I read would be Penelope Douglas's conclusion, Fire Night, and it was to the Devil's Night series, so it's a little novella that she put out, and I was so pleased with it. I loved it. And I'd miss all of the characters, and it was like a little snippet into what's going on with those characters, so I really enjoyed that. Number 12, your favorite author. Carrie Cole. You guys know that? I love me some Carrie Cole. Like, she can put out such a good book, and it's angsty, and it gives me all the feels, and it delivers everything that I'm looking for. So Carrie Cole for sure is my favorite. She just released her most recent, which is Kiss the Bride. I think she released it on ebook today, and so I'm waiting for the actual hardback book to come out, and I'm going to get that, and then I'll dive into that. I'm super excited. But aside from Carrie Cole, Penelope Douglas is, me and Penelope Douglas are like, we're buddies. I love her, but Carrie Cole is number 13. Buying books or borrowing books? Buying books for sure. They're part of my collection. I don't like to borrow books because then I've got to get it back to people, and if I fall in love with it, then I want to keep it, and I don't want to be responsible for anybody else's books because my books are like my life, and so buying for sure. Number 14, a book you dislike that everyone else seemed to love. And I was really taken aback by this one. For me, it was Beach Read by Emily Henry. Everybody loved this book. And I read it, and I was so bored, and I was like, I don't get the hype. I'm like not feeling it at all. Like, I finished it, but I was just like, it was like a 3-star for me, whereas everybody else touted it as a 5. So I was like, did I miss something here? But for me, not so much. Number 15, bookmarks or dog ears. Bookmarks, do not ruin a book by dog-earing it. And if I get a book from like thrift books or Better World books or whatever, and I see that it's been dog-eared, I'm like, really? Did you disrespect this book this way? Come on, people, don't do that. You do not dog-ear a book. You use a bookmark. And there are so many beautiful bookmarks out there that you can get. Like, y'all need to stop. No more dog-earing. That's just my opinion. Number 16, a book that you can always reread. After. Anna Todd. Did I say that I like Anna Todd's After? Yeah, for sure. After, I could reread that. But there are so many. I could give you a whole list of books that I could reread, but just to name one, Anna Todd's After. I haven't reread it yet, but I will after I get through my massive TBR. That's pretty insane. Can you read while hearing music? No, absolutely not. But I can listen to an audiobook and work at the same time. No, I need to focus when I'm actually reading a book, but if I'm listening to an audiobook, I'm cleaning the house, I'm cooking, I'm working, I'm doing all different kinds of things, so I can absolutely do that for sure. But reading while hearing music, no, not happening. One point of view or multiple point of views? I like in a single book multiple point of views because I really want to hear what's going on from each of the characters, and I prefer that they do it in a single book. I do not like when an author releases 2 books but it's about the same exact thing. So for example, Tamara Weber does that in her Contours of the Heart series. The first 2 books are Easy and Breakable, and it's her point of view in Easy and his point of view in Breakable. And I feel like you just gypped me on that. Like, why? No, don't do that. because you're telling me the same story that I just read. So I feel like that's not fair. Like, don't do that. Give me, each chapter tells from a different point of view so I can see what's going on, and I totally appreciate it in that way. Number 19, do you read a book in one sitting or over multiple days? It really depends on what's going on in my life. I prefer to read a book in one sitting if I can, and I usually finish a book a day unless there's like craziness going on in my life. If there's a lot going on in my life, then I'll read and then I'll take a break and, I'll pick it up again when I can. So it just really depends on what's going on in my life, right? And then number 20, who do you tag? So at this point, I am going to tag Nerd It This Way. She has a booktube channel and she's amazing and super funny, and so go show her some love. I'm going to tag her videos down below. But that is my 20 questions for another book tag. So I thought it was another cool way for you guys to get to know me. So please remember that I upload new videos every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And don't forget to like and subscribe, you guys. So thank you so much for tuning in, and I will see you in my next video. Yay! Bye!